What's a ticking time bomb you believe will explode during your lifetime? I'm afraid that a debt bubble is brewing. Auto foreclosures are climbing, same with homes, and quite rapidly too. July saw a 13% increase from the year before in home foreclosures. This is in an already prohibitive market to enter. I think it's crazy, but I'm not an expert. This is the fourth worst economic crisis I can remember in my lifetime. The subscription everything model is becoming completely unsustainable for the average person. Software, entertainment, heated seats in a car, grocery delivery. Eventually, people's incomes just won't be able to handle 1,000 tiny monthly payments. Something's gotta give. The job market in the US is collapsing. This could be due to AI, corporate greed, a mix of factors, or something else entirely. But it feels different this time because there's little awareness or market correlation like in past recessions. We're not in a recession, yet unless you're actively looking for a job, you probably don't realize how bad the job market really is. This is so true. Here in Germany, the news still talks about a shortage of skilled workers and says it's a huge problem. The reality is that my friends and I, who graduated college in technical fields, have been unable to find a job after months of searching and hundreds of applications. The fight for fresh water. It's part of Israel's long-term policy goals to control the limited water supply outside their borders. Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia have major disagreements over how the Nile should be managed, for example, damming. Retreating Himalayan glaciers could be catastrophic for nearly 1 billion people along 4 major rivers in Asia. Increased reliance on desalination means massive amounts of pure salt will be dumped. But where? Plus, all those new AI data centers require freshwater cooling on a massive scale. The whole mass surveillance and legal ID for everything trend, supposedly to protect children and megacorporations like Meta and Google collecting as much data as possible. People will either push back strongly or privacy could be lost completely. Privacy died long ago. This is just the double tap. It should be fought tooth and nail though. These new laws are extremely dangerous and will massively increase identity theft, successful scams, and shady information gathering. Probably also blackmail. Anything you can think of seems to be going off more or less at the same time right now. I was born in '91 and I've barely reached a point where I'm a relatively successful personally and professionally. Instead of maintaining this positive trend, all kinds of external crap show up. Pandemic, war, economic crises, nuclear threats, social collapse, all sorts of dumb conflicts, climate change, etc. And all of this is being driven by assholes, at least in their 70s, as Trump, Putin, Xi Jinping, Erdogan, Khamenei, Netanyahu, and others, who apparently don't have anything better to do with their lives. At this point, there isn't really a single time bomb that I expect not to blow during my lifetime. The disappearing middle class. Only 50 years ago, a single-income family could afford a house, a car, and more. Now, people are working multiple jobs and still living paycheck to paycheck. Eventually, people will get fed up, and the 99% may push back against the 1%. I believe at some point within my lifetime, we are going to go down one of two routes. A Bell Riots situation, where we actually rise up against the ultra-rich and corporations trying to take everything over, turn everyone against each other, and push us into the dirt. Or we roll over, and corps start taking full control of countries. There's already multiple countries where corporations have far, far too much power over politics. Remember the words Blue Ocean Event. You'll be hearing them again in a few years. We have reshaped the planet's climate from a remarkably stable period that allowed humanity to flourish into something chaotic and far less suited for us to survive in. Fear the wrath of a damaged and changed world. We have destroyed Eden, and we will reap what we have sown. Subprime car market. The volume of debt in car financing is huge, and the depressed resale values of cars coming off lease are far below expectations. The Porsche Taycan is a perfect example of this, and now Porsche has a significant black hole in its books because it cannot get the expected book value for these cars. Pension crisis. The number of people saving enough to retire at all is frighteningly low. Yep, this is a big one. I try to save as much as I can, even with a good job, but I still worry about it. It's sad to look ahead to old age and think you'll either work until you physically can't anymore and then just waste away, or, find another way to solve it yourself. The high cost of housing and mortgage interest rates. I can't imagine being a young person today trying to afford a $750,000 house. We bought a 4-bed home for under 1 million Australian dollars earlier this year. We count ourselves insanely lucky. Just 4 months later, in the same area, there isn't a single 3-bed home under 1 million. Our children are screwed. The education crisis. From what I've heard, students are lacking basic skills and common sense, which will definitely come back to haunt them as adults. Current students will be very underprepared for life after school, and you only need to listen to teachers' stories to see the challenges coming in the next 10 years. A major Pacific Northwest earthquake could cause loss of coastline elevation and significant changes in coastal flooding, though I truly hope that doesn't happen. People are becoming incredibly stupid, and they know nothing of the past and history. Add to this the raw aggression and willingness to beat someone to death because they didn't use their turn signal at a stoplight. The next 50 years, with AI contributing to our idiocy, the elites of the world will become ever more powerful and rich as they throw the stupid people a few loaves of bread and promise them football and masked singers on TV. America. With all of the red versus blue, Republican versus Democrat, and Trump versus the rest of the civilized world, the once mighty United States is like a poisonous snake eating its own tail. The dictatorship is coming, and if the American people don't wake up, there will be one hell of an explosion, or implosion, and all that will be left are the billionaires chasing the sacred dollar. My opinion is that Trump will refuse to give up power when his term ends, and will effectively establish himself as a dictator with the support of his MAGA followers. It has already started. There are so many horrible tragedies on their way that it's already too late to steer away from. One towers above the rest in terms of the humanitarian crisis it's going to cause. India is getting too hot for humans to survive in. No country will easily be able to absorb the huge numbers of people escaping the inhospitable areas. It's going to be really, really bad. To put this into context, if the trend of increasing air conditioning use continues at the current rate, by 2050, India will be using more electricity just to power air conditioners than the entire continent of Africa uses in a year for everything. And that's not that far away. Kessler syndrome. It's essentially a runaway effect of debris in orbit. The more debris there is, the higher the chance of catastrophic collisions, which create even more debris, leading to further collisions. Eventually, space could become inaccessible due to billions of tiny, untrackable pieces of metal hurtling around the planet at tens of thousands of miles per hour. The cruelty that has appeared between people. There is a lot of anger out there. When I was growing up, or even as a young adult, I didn't see this kind of anger. People so furious that they could seriously hurt someone over a minor incident. The things people say and the things they actually do show that this anger is rising. It doesn't come from one specific issue, but from several different ones. Most of the time, it's just talk with little action, but I fear that those who are this angry might commit acts of violence against people they see as the enemy. I'm also starting to notice more and more cases of this in everyday life, as if someone were intentionally trying to stir up hatred between us. Chronic stress, the #1 trigger behind most health problems. Until I had a nervous breakdown last year, I never appreciated the neurological impact of the stress I had been under for decades. The hippocampus actually shrinks due to chronic stress, which has caused me to lose decades of episodic memory and experience memory fragmentation, so that things feel out of order in my mind. I'm physically in my 50s, but my brain is closer to being in its 70s. The only treatment, by the way, is to reduce stress. These were just some of the ticking time bombs we might see in our lifetime. But what about you? Write your version in the comments. I'll be reading them. See you in the next video.